I didn't cry immediately. The airport in London Heathrow hummed with the indifference that has seen everything: reunions, deportations, proposals, breakdowns. Mine was not dramatic enough to register. My boarding pass wouldn't scan. The woman at the desk tried twice, then frowned at her screen. "I'm sorry, ma'am. This ticket has been cancelled." Cancelled. Not delayed. Not re-signed. Cancel. I turned slowly. Across the terminal. My parents and my younger sister Emily sat at a cafe table. My father avoided my eyes. My mother didn't. She watched me with a stillness that said, "You can fix this. Just apologize." The argument had started that morning in our hotel room. I told them I wasn't moving back to the US. I'd accepted a 6-month research placement in London. It wasn't rebellious. It was earned. But in my family, independence translated as disloyalty. "You think you're better than us now?" my mother had asked. "No," I'd said carefully. "I just want something that's mine." The conversation didn't escalate. It hardened. Now I understood. I reached for my bag to get my wallet. Gone. My phone powered on, then flashed no service. My international plan had been cut. Emily must have taken my wallet when she borrowed my lip balm earlier. It wasn't a tantrum. It was a strategy. I walked toward them slowly. "Why?" My voice sounded thinner than I intended. My father cleared his throat. "We're trying to protect you." "From what?" "From making mistakes you'll regret." My mother stirred her coffee. "You'll come home. We'll sort it out there." The boarding announcement for their flight to New York echoed overhead. They stood. For one moment. Just one. I thought they would hesitate. They didn't. The humiliation arrived gradually. Not as tears. As calculation. No ID. No payment method. Airline staff directed me to airport services. Airport services directed me to a number for the US Embassy. The embassy required identification. The circle was clean. I sat near a window overlooking the runway and pressed my hands together to stop them shaking. I wasn't afraid of sleeping in an airport. I was afraid of becoming the person they believed I would become. Helpless without them. That was without Rit. The voice came from my left. He wasn't intrusive. Mid-40s, tailored coat, restrained posture. Not flashy, controlled. "I'm sorry," I said. "They waited until after security lines thinned." He continued evenly. "You were isolated before you realized." I stared at him. He studied me like a problem. Not a spectacle. "My name is Daniel Whitmore." The name meant nothing to me then. "I need a favor," he said. "In exchange, I'll resolve your situation." I almost laughed. "I don't have anything to offer." "You have credibility." I must have looked blank. "My company is in the middle of a residency audit. I require the presence of my spouse for a document verification this afternoon. My wife and I are separated." "It's inconvenient." "You want me to lie." "I want you to stand next to me for 15 minutes. The coldness in his smile wasn't cruelty. It was precision. "My driver's arriving in 20. Pretend you're my wife. Trust me." There was no charm in it. No flirtation. Just leverage. I looked across the terminal one last time. My family was gone. I stood. The turning point wasn't cinematic, it was procedural. When Daniel approached a uniformed Heathrow official near a restricted access corridor, the man's posture shifted instantly. "Mr. Whitmore," he said, extending his hand. "We've prepared the room." Prepared. The indifference I'd faced at every counter dissolved into deference. Doors opened. A private lounge replaced plastic airport seating. Water appeared without request. Daniel handed over documents. I stood beside him silent. No one questioned me. Authority is quiet when it recognizes itself. Within 40 minutes, his assistant had contacted the Canadian High Commission on my behalf. I held dual citizenship through my grandmother, something my parents always dismissed as unnecessary paperwork. My emergency identification was verified digitally. Temporary documentation arranged. A hotel suite booked under my name, not his. He never touched me. Never called me anything but Men's Carter. Once we were alone. "This isn't charity," he said calmly. "I dislike inefficiency. What they did was inefficient." I sat very still. "Why help me?" He adjusted his cuff. "Because people who attempt control through scarcity rarely anticipate systems larger than themselves." It sounded like business strategy. Maybe it was. 2 days later, while I was still in the hotel overlooking the Thames, My email finally reactivated. There was a message from my mother. Subject: call us. Short, controlled, no apology. Attached was a screenshot from their bank. Their credit cards had been frozen upon landing in New York due to suspected international fraud. Airline ticket cancellation from a foreign IP. Reported by the carrier. Automatic investigation. They'd been questioned at the airport, briefly detained, not dramatically. Just enough, procedure. Not punishment. Daniel hadn't done anything, systems had. Another email followed, this one from an executive at Whitmore Holdings, offering me a 6-month consultancy assisting with a North American expansion project. Paid, independent, my qualifications attached, they had checked. I called my parents that evening. My father sounded smaller. We were scared. He said, I know, Irie home. We'll fix this. I looked out at the river moving steadily below. I am home, I said quietly. There was no shouting, no grand speech, just distance. I never saw Daniel socially. We met twice in conference rooms with glass walls and measured agendas. He kept his word. Nothing more. The last time I saw him, he said, you didn't need me. You needed interruption. He wasn't wrong. My family still messages. Holidays are polite. Controlled. Power didn't explode. It recalibrated. And when I walk through Heathrow now, passport in hand, I remember that afternoon, not as the moment I was abandoned, but as the moment I realized I was never as powerless as they believed.